We have Dwight Yoakam in the studio. Morning Becomes Eclectic on KCRW. I'm Chris Doritas, and let's. I don't know. How do you feel? You want to try something?
Well, you know what? I mean, it's talking about what has influenced me, and going back. There's songs that I don't play much live that are on albums of mine that I haven't played for a long time. There's like something that's very bluegrass oriented that I was thinking about a little bit ago when I did a sound check. I started playing and singing it. I think it's on the Hillbilly Deluxe album. I'm not sure. I can't even remember which album. I still see you walking silently through the shadows in my mind, and a vision of your deep blue eyes creeps into my dreamful sleep at night. You still haunt the deepness of my memory, yes you will, throughout all time. There's stuff like that's very deliberate. I mean, that's very very obvious that's a direct,
straight out of the mountain music.
Well, it's a direct, reference to the bluegrass stuff that I heard that, or bury me along the big sandy down in those blue-gray mountains. Rest my soul in those hills of coal until this old earth does tremble. Oh, don't you mourn for me when my soul is free, dear woman. But don't you cry, you just bury me along the big sandy under blue Kentucky skies. And when I wrote that, I have visions. When I sing that, I'm speaking. When I say, woman, don't you cry, it's not a girlfriend of mine. It's my granny. I see Earlene Tibbs walking around in a day dress out on a hillside picking berries. I see her hollering to my grandfather, Luther. And it's the dynamic that I saw between those two. It's me taking on his first-person voice, if you will, and then I go someplace else in that song and go to my own first person when I start to talk about this old town of sin's about to do me in. I don't know how much I can stand. That's me. That's their grandson, in L.A. And it's referential to Graham Parsons and Chris Hillman's song Sin City, if you will. I mean, it's so I don't escape ever, or I ever try to escape the mountain roots.
Well, yeah. On the contrary, you really you have a very firm understanding of your whole roots, your ancestors. I mean, don't you? It goes back like a couple hundred years.
Well, I don't.
Germany, right?
Genealogically, I know loosely. I just from some fans that gave me some information at one point. I knew that Yoakam is actually a Dutch surname. Actually, there was a Flemish painter, and the Dutch, along with the English, were some of the first people to settle America. So they ended up down in Virginia in the Shenandoah Valley. My direct descendants on the surname side of the family came out of Virginia and up into Ohio.
I see.
My mother's family ended up out of southwestern Virginia, very far down in where Grundy and where Ralph Stanley comes from, in that area of Virginia.
Well, that's where you're originally from, Pikeville, which is
crossed over into Pike County, Kentucky, which is on the border there. In Appalachia, and that's that whole Boone community where they came over the Cumberland Gap and spread up and through there. So Tibbs is my mother's maiden name. Tibbs, which is Tibbetson, which is an old English name. Ratliffs, the Gillums, and that kind of music. I mean, I used to hear my grandmother sing what I call hillbilly hymns, which are different than the Southern black spirituals. These were the Irish, Scottish, hymns that were handed down.
These are hymns you sung in church.
Yeah, it's like stuff like, what key I used to... I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and He walks with me, and He talks with me. and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. He speaks and the sound of his voice is so sweet, the birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing, and he walks with me and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. So yeah, those were the kinds of
That's
hymns
so
that I
beautiful.
heard growing up and listening to. And if you listen to that, and then listen to a song that Larry Gatlin wrote years later, Johnny Rodriguez, not Johnny Rodriguez, but Johnny Rodriguez had a hit with. But
Not to be
Gatlin
confused with Johnny Rodriguez. Not to be confused with him.
Not to be confused with Johnny Rodriguez. You hear where Larry Gatlin grew up, singing those same Irish, Scottish, Welsh hymns in
Yeah.
Baptist churches in West Texas. I was raised in the Church of Christ, and we had a tradition in the sect of that church that I was in singing a cappella. They believed that the first century worship was conducted in a cappella, so therefore they conducted all worship service a cappella.
They
We
had
didn't
no
sing,
instruments
no
in the
instruments
church.
at all, no piano, nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the reasons I was so compelled to sing as a child, is because I heard that every Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night all my life. and if you listen to the Gatlin song, you hear the influence of a song like In the Garden on this one. It goes,